in this example, we will learn about pivot tables a bit further using this table. So first we will select this table here, go and insert. Under tables, we will click on pivot table. So we will want this on a new worksheet, so you click OK. Now under these fields, you will click number of operators and rows. You want it in rows here. Machine number, we will put it under number of operators. Shifts we'll put in columns, and units produced will go in values. So you can play around these fields here. You can put number of operators and columns if you want. You can just play around with it to see whatever data you want to see in a table, the way you want to see it. So after putting these in the respective columns and rows, this is the table that you get. So now suppose if you don't want the grand total here, so what you can do is you can go in design. Under subtotals, you can say do not show subtotals. So these subtotals that were there for every number of operator, they'll be gone. And if you don't want the grand totals here, you can go in grand totals and say off for rows and columns. So these are gone as well. They get removed. So if you want them back, just go in design, click on grand totals, say on for rows and columns. So the grand totals are back again. Alright, so you see in values, this is always shown as sum of units. So instead of sum, if you want something else, you can click on it and go on value field settings. So here you have various options. You can click on max if you want to find the max of units produced. You click OK. So these are the maximum units that are produced. So you can change this manually by typing max. So that's changed. Alright, again you can go on it back again. So here, using the number format, you can change the number format however you want. Put it in currency, you can click OK, or else you can go in show values as tab. Now you can, if you want this as a percent of the value fields, from the field values, you can go in number of operators and click for 2, and that will give the percentage of the values over here. Next, you can click on the cell here and go under field settings. So in these you can change, you can make it custom. For max, you can say include new items and click OK. So these are the maximum produced units that you get here. Also for the cell here, for machine number 1, you can go in custom max. So you want to find for the machine numbers, so click OK. So for the 3 different shifts, you get the maximum units produced for that many number of operators and machine numbers. The pivot table tools, analyze and design. So there's the pivot table options. So you can either change it via this, or you can just right click and go in pivot table options. So here you can merge and center cells with labels, so you can check that. You can display it in a classic style, classic pivot table layout for better understanding. So this would be your layout. Next, under analyze, we have the active field, which is the field settings. We've already talked about it. Then we also have group here, which is basically it sorts and unsorts it. So you can directly do it here. You can click on this drop down, and suppose if you want it in descending order with the highest number of machines, so you can click on sort largest. So this is, it comes in the descending order. Next we have the insert slicer. So insert slicer, say if you want to find for machine 3 the units produced for the first and the second shift. So you click on insert slicer. So we want for machine 3 and the first and the second shift. You click OK. So you get these two dialog boxes. So it's for machine 3 and for the first and the second shift. So these are the values that you get from this. Okay, so this was our original pivot table before we made the changes in the shift and the machine number. So the next buttons here are for refresh. You can refresh it, we can change the data source, you can move a pivot table, you can make a chart out of a pivot table. So this field list here is basically if you click on it, so this field list goes away. So if you want to make the changes, you need a field list table. So if you click somewhere outside the table, it goes out again, but once you click on the table, it comes back. So suppose if you want to make changes in the table layout, you can put number of operators here if you want, and if you want the shift to be under rows. So this will be a different looking pivot table. So the next button here is the plus minus button. So the plus minus here you see besides 1. So if you click on it, it becomes a plus and the data is collapsible. So once you click on it again, the data is visible. Okay. So we click on this. So only for 3, the data is visible right now. Also, we have the field headers, which we can remove if we want to, if we don't want to show it. Under design, you can change the layout of the table. You can change this to this. Now suppose if you want the number of operators to be grouped in 2 sets, so we can just change this color back to normal. Okay, so we can put it back here. So our table is back like how we did earlier. So now we want the number of operators to be grouped. So what we can do is we can right click on pivot table option. We can go in group actually. So after going in grouping, so it starts from 2 and ends at 10. So we want the sets to be by 4 so that it comes in 2 groups. So you click OK. So you have it from 2 to 5 and 6 to 10 here. So that's your new table and you have grouped it by 4. Okay, so we will make this ascending, sort it, ascending, and okay. So now suppose if you want to add a column with all the costs for all the costs of the product. What you can do is go and analyze. Under calculations, you can go in fields, go for calculated field. So you want to add a field. So you can write variable cost. And you know the cost price is $12. So it's the number of units produced. So you write that in commas, inverted commas, and units produced. So that field into $12, and you want that field and units produced. So you click for you want to get it there. So you will click OK. And you get all the costs here. So these columns are added after you added your formula. So you can see it here. Another column is added, which is values column. So these are your costs for the product. So we don't max here, so we can just go in design and click on subtotals. Do not show subtotals. Okay, so now we want to find the units produced during shift 2 by machine 2 when 8 operators are working. So you can just write it in a cell, get pivot data, and you can select the data here. So now you will find in units produced. So before that you will write units produced, comma. So you've written the pivot table. Then you want to find for shift 2. So you will write shift, comma. It's 2. Machine number, which is for 2 is what you want to find. And for number of operator, number of operators. So you get 59. So if you see in the table, so for shift 2, for machine 2, operators 8. So the answer is 59 here. And that is what get pivot data function does for you. It directly finds out the answer for you for the given set of conditions. Chart, you can go and analyze. You can click on pivot chart. So this is a dialog box that comes up. Suppose if you want a column chart, there's a column chart here. You click OK. So this is your chart. Suppose if you want only for machine number 3, so you can uncheck for 1 and 2 and click OK. So this is your column chart. If you don't like this and if you want to change your chart type, you can click right click, click on change chart type. So you have various options here. You can go for a pie. If you don't want a pie, you can go for a 3D pie if you want. You can click on that. And this is your 3D pie chart.